Good morning. It's December 22nd. This is To My Liberal Friends. Well, yesterday I talked about the chaos at the southern border and the record number of illegal immigrants that are flooding across the border. Under Joe Biden, it has reached a stunning 10 million people. So what's the solution out there, if there is one? One thing is certain, whatever Congress decides to do will have to be bipartisan. It will have to be negotiated, and that means each side will want something and be willing to give the other something in exchange. And that's precisely where we are at this moment in time. For the almost 3 years of his presidency, Joe Biden and his team of officials have insisted that the border is secure and that Biden has done more to secure the border than any other president. We know that this is not remotely true, but they've continued that mantra time after time. But now we are heading into an election year and continue to make that ludicrous statement when the public sees the videos of the news each night of thousands crossing the border each and every day. Well, it's forced Biden and Senate Democrats to start looking for something to appease the public and show they're actually trying to stem the flow across the southern border. Couple that with the fact that Biden is seeking additional funds for both Ukraine and Israel, and you have the makings of a negotiation. Republicans want some changes in how people are granted asylum, and they're willing to make some trades to get what they want. Now, I also point that Republicans have no problem giving aid to Israel. They're a little questioning on Ukraine. They want a little more accountability. But this is where the art of a deal, to quote somebody famous, comes in. A new poll from Monmouth University has Biden's approval rating at an abysmal 34%. And that's the lowest since he took office. It does not seem to be heading up at this time. There are a lot of reasons for his low approval rating, his age, inflation, energy costs, but one that is really sinking him is immigration. About 80% of those polled give him a thumbs down on handling the border. Only 50% of Democrats think he's solving the problem. At the same time, the border situation is in free fall. This week, U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported that 12,600 migrants had been encountered on the southern border in a 24-hour period, the highest single day ever recorded. Border officials are running out of options. Last weekend, they were forced to close 2 rail bridges between Texas and Mexico because of the influx of migrants crossing illegally while riding a freight train. And the CBP has had to close other border ports of entry in Arizona and California for similar reasons. And Biden's failed to come up with a real plan. At the outset, he put Vice President Kamala Harris in charge of the immigration and border issue. Now, she refused to even go to the border. Her only visit was a whistle-stop tour while she was in El Paso, far from where the crisis is occurring. All the Biden administration has focused on is undoing anything the previous administration had done to curb illegal immigration and the abuses of the asylum system. Trump's stay in Mexico policy had been working, as immigrants found that they could not just turn themselves in and be released into the U.S. Instead, they had to remain in Mexico while they applied for asylum, something everyone knows they're coached to say, but in reality, the vast majority are coming here for economic reasons. Governors on the border states are exasperated and out of patience with the federal response. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been busing migrants to Democratic cities that proclaim themselves to be sanctuary cities. Texas has attempted to erect barriers on the border and recently passed a state law allowing law enforcement to arrest immigrants. Last week, Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs, a Democrat, ordered the state's National Guard to assist law enforcement officers attempting to cope with a spike in migrants crossing the border. I'm quoting her, "With this executive order, I'm taking action where the federal government won't." Now, she's echoing what Democratic mayors are saying about the lack of action by the Biden administration. The mayor of New York, Eric Adams, has been calling out Biden for months now and saying the immigrants he is forced to take care of are bankrupting his city. Similar complaints can be heard from Chicago, Los Angeles, Houston, Denver, and other big cities. That brings us back to the negotiation in the Senate. I say the Senate because the House has already passed an immigration bill that's languished in the Senate as Democrats refuse to take it up. They sent it over last May. But combining the foreign military aid to Ukraine and Israel with the immigration issue has all the makings of a deal. And finally, Joe Biden has sent a signal that he's open to such a deal and could support some form of compromise. You can be sure that Republicans will want some of the Trump policies reinstated because evidence showed they worked. That would include the stay in Mexico policy, tougher standards for claiming asylum, something even some Democrats say need to be toughened up, quicker resolutions to claims for asylum, faster deportations for those denied, and tougher employment verifications to ensure that those here illegally are not working under the table. Republicans are also demanding some changes in Biden's authority to grant humanitarian parole, which gives people from certain countries a temporary, it seems to turn into a permanent, ability to remain in the country. Now, Biden's problem is his left flank. They oppose any changes in the current system, and many of the progressive caucus would simply prefer opening the border to anyone that wants to come. Some, such like Congresswoman Delia Ramirez from Illinois, said it might change her position on supporting Biden in 2024. Well, I think that's a lot of hot air and rhetoric on her part and the rest of the progressives because they have nowhere else to go with their political support. But be assured they will make a lot of noise complaining about any deal cut in the Senate. But if the Senate can forge a deal and Biden gives it to his support, it should pass the Senate. In the House, the conservatives will demand more on immigration and probably vote no, but with the support of the moderates in both parties, it should pass the House and be a small step in resolving a problem that is festering beyond belief. It's been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.